All right. So you know how you're always trying to make data work for you, like turning it into insights and making smarter decisions?
Right.
Well, today, we're diving into something that could be a total game changer.
Oh, yeah.
Amazon S3 tables.
Mm.
It's like they took everything we know about storing data for analytics and said, how can we make this faster, easier, and way more efficient? The answer, S3 tables.
It's fascinating, isn't it? We're talking about handling massive amounts of data here.
Yeah.
The kind of data that used to require, like, serious, heavy lifting, expensive infrastructure.
Right.
And a whole team of engineers just to keep things running.
Oh, for sure.
But S3 tables kind of changes the game,
Yeah.
especially for those of you dealing with daily transactions or sensor data ad impressions, you name it.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break it down.
Okay.
What exactly are S3 tables? Is it just another way to store files in S3?
It's more than just storage.
Okay.
It's a whole new way of thinking about data for analytics. Imagine this, like a purpose-built system within S3, specifically designed for storing and querying tabular data.
Okay.
And it's all built on this open source format called Apache Iceberg.
Apache Iceberg. I've heard that name thrown around in data circles.
Yeah.
But why is that so important?
Well, it's kind of the secret sauce that makes S3 tables so powerful. Think of Iceberg as like the common language that allows all your favorite analytics tools to work seamlessly with the data.
Okay.
Tools like Amazon, Athena, EMR, even Apache Spark.
Yeah.
They all understand Iceberg.
Gotcha.
This means you can jump right into analyzing your data without worrying about compatibility issues or complex data transformations.
That sounds promising, but I've been burned by quote-unquote easy data solutions before.
Sure.
What kind of performance boost are we really talking about here?
They're not talking about incremental improvements.
Okay, good.
Amazon claims S3 tables can deliver up to 3 times faster query performance compared to managing your own tables.
Wow.
Imagine being able to run complex queries in minutes instead of hours, or even getting real-time insights from streaming data.
Okay, that's the kind of speed that could really change how I approach data analysis.
I think so.
But you mentioned managing your own tables.
Yeah.
S3 Tables is a fully managed service, right?
Right.
What does that mean for someone like me who maybe doesn't have a PhD in cloud infrastructure?
It means you can focus on the insights, not the infrastructure.
Okay.
S3 Tables takes care of all the heavy lifting,
Okay.
optimizing storage, managing snapshots, even cleaning up old files you don't need anymore.
Nice.
It's like having a team of data engineers working behind the scenes to keep your data warehouse running smoothly.
So it's like a self-driving data warehouse.
Yeah, you could see that.
That's pretty appealing.
Hmm.
But I'm also hearing a lot of technical terms being thrown around.
Right.
Table buckets, tables, namespaces.
Sure.
Can you help me unpack all that?
Absolutely. Think of a table bucket like a container.
Okay.
Your virtual data warehouse within S3. Inside that bucket, you have your tables, which are structured data sets with their own schemas, just like you're used to,
Gotcha.
and namespaces.
Yeah.
Those are simply a way to organize your tables, keeping things tidy and easy to manage.
So if I'm working with customer data, financial data, and product data, I could have a separate namespace for each.
Exactly.
Okay.
It keeps everything neatly organized and makes it easier to control access and permissions.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, namespaces, tables, buckets. I'm starting to get the lay of the land.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and actually start using S3 tables.
Right.
Where do I even begin?
Well, the good news is that getting started is surprisingly straightforward.
Okay, that's good.
You've got a few options.
Okay.
The AWS Management Console, the AWS Command Line Interface,
Yeah.
or even programmatically using the AWS SDKs.
Gotcha.
It really depends on your comfort level and how you prefer to interact with AWS services.
Options are always good.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm a CLI person. How would I go about creating my first table bucket?
All right, let's fire up the terminal.
Okay.
First things first.
Yeah.
You'll need the AWS CLI installed and configured with your AWS credentials.
Right.
Once that's done, it's a single command to create a table bucket.
Oh, wow.
You would use
Okay.
all 3 tables, create table bucket, followed by the name flag and the desired name for your bucket.
Okay.
Something like My Data Playground, for example.
And that's it.
Pretty much.
No complex configurations or settings to fiddle with?
That's the beauty of it.
Nice.
S3 Tables takes care of the rest, provisioning the necessary resources and setting up your bucket for optimal performance right out of the gate.
Okay, color me impressed.
All right.
So now I have this shiny new bucket.
Right.
How do I actually create a table and start loading some data?
This is where that Apache Iceberg format we talked about really shines.
Okay.
S3 Tables leverages Iceberg's capabilities to make table management incredibly efficient. You can define the schema of your table, specifying columns, data types, and any constraints you need.
So if I'm building a table to track customer orders,
Wow.
I could have columns for order ID, customer ID, order date,
Yeah,
items, purchase total amount, and so.
exactly.
Okay.
And you can choose the most suitable data types for each column.
Right.
Strings for text, integers for numbers, timestamps for dates, and so on.
Makes sense.
Iceberg provides the flexibility to model your data in a way that perfectly reflects your needs.
It's like having a custom-built database just for my data,
Yeah.
but without all the hassle of setting up and managing a traditional database.
Right.
And speaking of no hassle,
Yeah.
loading data into your S3 table is just as straightforward.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You can use the AWS SDKs to write data directly.
Yep.
Set up data pipelines with services like AWS Glue,
Mm-hmm.
or even use SQL insert statements if you're comfortable with that approach.
If that's your style.
So many options.
I know, right?
It sounds like S3 Tables is designed to fit into whatever workflow I'm already using,
Exactly.
rather than forcing me to adapt to a new system.
Right.
But once my data is loaded, how do I actually start analyzing it?
Well, here's where the real fun begins.
Okay.
Remember those AWS services we mentioned earlier, like Athena, Redshift, and EMR?
Yeah.
They all seamlessly integrate with S3 Tables.
So I can use the tools I'm already familiar with
Yep.
to query and analyze the data I've stored in S3 Tables.
That's right.
Nice.
For example, you can use Athena to run interactive SQL queries directly against your S3 Tables data.
Okay.
No need to spin up complex clusters or worry about managing infrastructure.
Right.
It's serverless analytics at its finest.
Serverless is music to my ears,
Yeah,
but what if I need to do some more heavy-duty processing?
sure.
Like running machine learning algorithms
Mhm.
or building complex data pipelines?
Then Amazon EMR is your go-to solution. It provides a manage-to-dupe framework, allowing you to run those large-scale distributed data processing tasks with ease.
Right.
And of course, it integrates seamlessly with S3 Tables.
Of course.
So you can process massive data sets stored in your tables without any friction.
It sounds like S3 Tables is a real team player,
Yeah, it is.
working smoothly with all these other AWS services.
For sure.
But you hinted at some hidden gems
All right.
and tips and tricks earlier.
Yeah.
What are some of those lesser-known features that can make working with S3 Tables even smoother?
Well, one of my favorites is the automatic maintenance we've touched on.
Right.
Remember, S3 Tables takes care of tasks like compaction, snapshot management, and removing unreferenced files.
Yeah.
This happens quietly in the background,
Okay.
so you don't have to lift a finger.
Gotcha.
It keeps your data warehouse tidy, optimized, and running efficiently.
It's like having a dedicated team of data engineers constantly fine-tuning things behind the scenes.
Exactly.
And you also mentioned integration with AWS Lake Formation. What's that all about?
Lake formation is essential if you're dealing with sensitive data.
Okay.
It allows you to define granular access controls and data governance policies for your S3 tables.
So I can control who has access to what data,
Yep.
down to the column level if I need to.
Precisely. It's all about keeping your data secure and compliant with regulations.
Okay, last question before we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Sure.
Any performance optimization tips you can share? I'm always looking for ways to make my queries run faster.
Of course. One key strategy is partitioning. By dividing your tables into smaller chunks based on a shared attribute like date or region,
Right.
you can significantly reduce the amount of data that needs to be scanned for each query.
Okay.
This can dramatically speed up your queries.
So instead of sifting through a giant haystack,
Right.
I can focus on a specific section where I'm more likely to find the needle.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Another simple but effective tip is using the right data types. Choosing the most appropriate data type for each column not only improves storage efficiency, but can also lead to faster queries.
The data types partitioning, it's all starting to make sense.
Good.
I feel like I'm leveling up my data analytics skills already.
I think so.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Right.
Maybe it's time to take a breather and come back to wrap up our deep dive into Amazon S3 tables.
Sounds like a plan. When we come back, we'll explore some compelling real-world use cases.
Okay.
Compare S3 tables to other data storage solutions.
Yeah.
And leave you with some food for thought as you embark on your own S3 tables journey.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Amazon S3 tables. We've unpacked a lot, like the what, the why, and even the how.
We have.
But you know what really brings this home is seeing how S3 tables is actually being used out in the wild.
Oh, absolutely. The real-world applications are where this technology truly shines.
Yeah.
Imagine a financial institution, maybe one you use every day,
Right.
that's processing millions of transactions. They need a way to analyze that data quickly and securely, not just for things like fraud detection,
Right.
but for making smart investment decisions as well.
Mm.
S3 Tables fits that bill perfectly.
It's almost like giving them a superpower.
Right.
The ability to see patterns and insights that would be impossible to detect with traditional methods.
Exactly. And what's exciting is that it's not just about finance.
Okay.
Think about the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
Dealing with vast amounts of patient data, genomic information,
Right.
clinical trial results.
Oh, wow.
They need a secure, scalable way to manage and analyze all that information. And S3 Tables is stepping up to the challenge.
It's not just about storing the data.
Oh,
It's
look.
about making it accessible and usable
Exactly.
for research, for improving patient care, even for developing new treatments.
That's the goal.
And let's not forget the e-commerce giants.
Oh, yeah.
They're collecting mountains of data on customer behavior, product trends,
Mhm.
and market dynamics. S3 Tables give them the power to personalize recommendations, optimize pricing strategies,
Yeah.
and make their operations more efficient. It's all about gaining an edge in a world where data is king.
It really is.
So from finance to healthcare to e-commerce, S3 Tables is making a real impact.
It is.
But let's be honest, there are other data storage solutions out there.
Of course.
What makes S3 Tables stand out from the crowd?
Well, it's a combination of factors.
Yeah.
First, there's the performance.
Right.
We've talked about those faster query times,
Uh-huh.
up to 3x faster compared to self-managed solutions.
Yeah.
That translates to faster insights, faster decisions, and ultimately a more agile and responsive business.
Time is money, as they say.
It is.
And that speed advantage can be a real game changer.
For sure.
And then there's the scalability factor.
Right.
S3 Tables can handle those massive data sets,
Yeah,
and it grows seamlessly alongside your needs.
exactly.
No need to worry about hitting storage limits or performance bottlenecks. It's designed to scale with you no matter how much your data grows.
That's right.
That peace of mind is invaluable, especially in a world where data is exploding exponentially.
so.
And let's not forget about cost efficiency.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
S3 Tables is a serverless solution,
Right.
which means you only pay for what you use. No upfront costs.
Yeah.
No need to over-provision resources.
Exactly.
It's a pay-as-you-go model that aligns perfectly with the flexibility of the cloud.
It does.
So you get all the power of a high-performance data warehouse
Right.
without the traditional price tag.
Without the big bill.
That's a win-win in my book.
For sure.
There's one more thing I want to highlight.
Okay.
The ease of use.
Yeah,
S3 Tables is surprisingly user-friendly.
it is.
You don't need to be a cloud expert or a data engineering guru to get started.
Right.
It sounds like they've taken all the complexity of managing data tables and streamlined it, made it accessible to anyone who wants to unlock the power of their data.
That's the goal.
Okay, you've sold me S3 Tables is the real deal.
I think so.
As we wrap up,
Okay.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
I want them to see that S3 Tables isn't just a new feature. It's a new way of thinking about data.
Okay.
It's about breaking down those data silos, democratizing access to information,
Yeah,
and enabling everyone to make smarter data-driven decisions.
makes sense.
Ultimately, it's about unlocking the potential of data to transform businesses, advance research, and maybe even make the world a slightly better place.
That's a powerful thought, using data to drive positive change.
It is.
And S3 Tables seems to be giving us the tools to do just that.
It does.
So to everyone listening, I encourage you to explore S3 Tables.
Right.
See how it fits into your workflow and think about the possibilities it unlocks for you.
Uh-huh.
The potential is truly limitless.
It is.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
To all our listeners out there.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Amazon S3 Tables.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of data.
And remember, the power to transform your world is right there in your data, just waiting to be discovered.